So long as like Alchemy.
Hey, Al. What is good with Klay Thompson? What's good with Klay? Warriors winning. Steph looks amazing. KD looks amazing. Klay, what is he shooting? 14% from the three-point line. Now, we've only played 7 games. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I have an answer for y'all. Do I have some theories? Of course. I've got some theories. And I want to let y'all know that. Like, I ain't saying, hey, I know what's wrong with Klay Thompson. I'm just throwing out there. This is the topic of concern amongst Warrior fans, so I have to address this at this point. Because really, the first 3-4 games, I didn't really want to say nothing because we've seen Klay go through many slumps, but now this is probably officially a slump as far as three-point shooting goes. So my first theory or topic that I want to bring up when it's concerned to Klay's three-point shooting is the pace of the game, right? We're seeing teams put up 140 points on a nightly basis here, basically, right? The 3-ball and just the speed of the game. There's more possessions, so the numbers and stats are going up, right? And not only does that affect the offense, right? It affects defenders. And who is the premier wing defender on this team? It's Klay Thompson, right? And then you take into consideration that Klay is not exactly a workout warrior. I know he's a professional. He's always in shape, and I know, he works on that buttery shot. But he's not one of those gym rat guys, I think, that's in there all the time and you can't get him out of the gym, like a Steph Curry, like a Kevin Durant. And that's I'm not trying to blame him of anything. Klay is just fine. But I'm just pointing out, you'd consider the short preseason, right? Klay probably not in the shape that maybe he needed to be considering the pace. Then you take into account he tweaked the ankle early on. So when you talk about a shooter and something that's wrong mechanically or their rhythm, either it really pertains to their legs. Either they don't have enough juice in their legs and they're a little bit out of shape, or sometimes with the young guys, they're excited and they have too much juice in their legs, right? And it's messing with their rhythm on their shot. So I bring up the pace of the way the first 7 games have gone, and that Klay maybe needs to get his legs under him. And now he probably at this point in game 7 is getting his legs under him, but now we've got a little bit of this going on, right? And that affects any human being, right? He's well aware of the struggles. As far as mechanically goes, he's tilting, he's fading a little bit. There's some jumpers where you'll see where he's fading. I saw him do a little scissors kick on the mid-range, and that's uncharacteristic of him. The one staple you say Klay Thompson has the most textbook jump shot in the NBA, it's his balance. His ability to rise up completely straight and be on balance is really what sets him apart as a shooter, and he's not sticking that every time on these shots. Now, there's a cost to everything. Y'all know that's my favorite line. There's a cost to everything. Steph and KD, they've never looked more cohesive. It looks like the most devastating 1-2 punch. I don't know. I'm sure someone's going to point one out that's great, but that we've ever seen, at least offensively, right? It's devastating, and you're seeing them kind of take turns, heat check, pull up from 30, and kind of isolate. The Warriors, I know the assist numbers are there, but we have to take into account the pace. So the numbers are magnified, but there's a little more ISO ball going on with Steph and KD, and they look magnificent doing it, right? But there's a cost to everything. And that cost is, it's not that Klay's not getting opportunities, it's what kind of opportunities is Klay getting? Now, we've seen him off the dribble, and clearly that's going to knock down some of his three-point percentage anyway, right? Steph Curry is probably the only player I can think of that maybe shoots it better off the dribble from the three. There's a handful of them, maybe Dame Lillard, some of these guys, Kyrie, right? I take that statement back, but there's a select few that are better off the bounce. And Klay, obviously not one of them. So that's one thing, right? But the opportunities, if you look, a lot of his threes are contested because a lot of the times when Steph's usually creating, now he's pulling for himself. So yeah, they're giving Klay his touches, but I think they're asking him to create, and the looks aren't quite as good. Excuse me, let me get a little sip of coffee here. So what's the solution? The solution is that left corner 3-ball. If you look, he shoots like 55% from there. He's not getting, and that's what really stuck out to me, looking at where I'm breaking down these videos and where his shots are coming from. He's not getting that open corner 3-ball anymore. And that's what gets Klay going. So heading into Chicago tonight, back end of a back-to-back, not exactly a a real threat of an opponent, right? But they do shoot the three ball, but they're chipped up. Get him some left corner three balls, I think, would be the recipe to seeing him drop some threes down. Now, I just want to say this. It's ironic because all eyes are on Kevin Durant and his decision this summer and how he's going to blend with this team and what, everybody's kind of watching that. And the ironic thing is that everybody assumes Klay is a done deal. And I know he's all but said that, like, I'm not looking to go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy here. And he said all the right things. Wouldn't it be crazy if it was Klay that left, right? I hate to say it, man, but it's just running through my mind, and I think it's just something to monitor, is Steph and Kd, as they become tighter and a better 1-2 punch, again, a cost to everything. So I think it's important to get Klay better looks as the season moves forward and his shot will fall, man. And off the dribble, he looks better. I just want to bring that up that, again, if these two are going to have that 1-2 punch, it's going to cost elsewhere. We're not worried about Draymond's offense, but Klay, it is what it is right now as you see his stats. Now, the Houston Rockets. Shout out my guy Major asking me about this. I haven't really wanted to watch them yet. I watched them against the Lakers and then, with the fight and all that. But then you consider the suspension and then Harden going out with the hamstring. I didn't want to pass too much judgment. I hate when I turn on a game and you've got multiple stars out of the game, man, because I don't know what I can take away from it exactly, unless you're maybe keen to see a young player that's on the depth charts behind those guys. But, I equate this back to football. The championship hangover is a real thing, man. It's a real thing. And I know you say, oh, Alec, they didn't make it to the finals, right? But, I mean, a lot of people could argue that Western Conference Finals was the championship, right? And if you look at NFL teams, the team that loses the Super Bowl the next season, they always have a terrible season, right? The Super Bowl hangover, I believe they call it. And I believe in that. I'm a subscriber to that. And ultimately what it comes down to with the Rockets is I know we can talk about who they've lost. Ariza, that was a huge one. Imam Mute, I think they could have lived without that, right? He's always chipped up anyway. And then their defensive coach, that was one that's starting to be brought up now, but wasn't as publicized during the offseason. But beyond those losses, I think Chris Paul and James Harden and Mike D'Antoni, deep down in their core, whether they'll admit it or not, it's in their subconscious. They know that last year was their opportunity. And I said as much when after that Game 7, I said, Rockets fans, that was your opportunity. That was it. That was the time to get the Warriors. And so they can say all the right things, they can put in all the work, they can all do that, but they're again, in their core, I think they know they missed their window, and that's hard to overcome, hence the hangover. Now, Daryl Morey is a mad scientist, man. He's a mad scientist. But when you're always tinkering in your lab and willing to mix potions, eventually what happens is your lab explodes. And so you hear about the 4 first-round picks for Jimmy Butler, Eric Gordon possibly in the deal, and they're trying. The question is, how desperate is Morey going to get? How desperate? We know all they talk about is beating the Warriors. How desperate is he going to get to not let this window close? But I think the unfortunate thing is it may have already. What damage will he do to try to pry it open? Because you add Jimmy Butler to the mix of Melo, Paul, and Harden, get your popcorn, man, because that would be very difficult to manage, I believe. And so, hey, I want the Rockets to be good and be in the mix. I like the rivalry. It's fun. You know what I'm saying? And that's coming from a spoiled Warriors fan, right? Because maybe there's not enough teams that we play throughout the season that's actually fun. So, I don't want them to just completely go downhill and out of the mix, but I don't feel they're the threat. I think they know they're not the threat, and it'll be interesting to see what roster moves now. I'll jump into this Cleveland thing, right, where Ty Lue is exited out, but to see what other stars, because the Jimmy Butler thing, I don't think it's going to work out. And if I was a Rockets fan, I would be, I don't know how much I would like that. There's no doubt in a vacuum, as a player individually, Butler is good, but you bring that personality in there, man, I don't know. But that's not to say that he tries to get into every deal. And so obviously Kevin Love, Korver, J.R. Smith, these vets from the Cavs are going to be made available. And as some of these other teams' hopes and dreams for this season start to go down the drain as the games can get played out, right? There's going to be more guys made available towards the trade deadline. So that roster is going to get shuffled up. It'll be crazy to see, I think, what happens. On to the Ty Lue thing in Cleveland. It was never going to work out. It was never going to work out. They needed to hit the restart button. Who they bring in? Larry Drew, veteran dude. And I remember, I don't know if y'all saw my picks, my way too early award picks. I had Colin Sexton as rookie of the year because I was like, Dan Gilbert and this Cavs organization, and I say Dan because we all know he kind of Jerry Joneses things over there, but they're going to just force feed this kid the ball and kind of turn him into a star. Not turn him, he has the skill, but they're going to accelerate his growth process. And that wasn't happening in the beginning of the season because Lue wanted to play the vets, and so they got to get him all the way out of there. One thing I want to bring up back about the Warriors is, man, Alfonso McKinney. I know I was on record saying, I don't like this move. I don't like it. It was that Laker preseason game where he got beat backdoor like 6 times in a fourth quarter. I was like, bro. And that really, maybe I was too quick to judge for sure. But the way he's playing, I don't know. This bench may be solidified. But I'm not going to lie to you. I did go into the ESPN trade machine and I put Sean Livingston in for Kyle Korver. You say, whoa. And I get it. Korver's damn near 40. And it would be a this season move. But, Sean, he takes so many games off and he just disappears sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes we'll play a game and I won't even realize that he's not playing until I look at the box score, man. So I appreciate S. for all he's done in this championship run, but things have to change, shuffle up. I just threw that out there because you bring that gunner off the bench, man, and it's just an interesting thought because I think one of these contending teams is going to pick up Korver. That's without a doubt. Kevin Love is an interesting one because the way the game's being played, I don't know. The Clippers came to mind, even though I know Jerry West all those years ago. Remember, he nixed the Draymond trade for Love. I'm not sure if he's a Love guy, but I'm looking at a team that is, a star player away from taking a step up. The Clippers came to mind. So Love and Korver, teams are going to call about those guys. J.R. Smith, not so much, right? I think they stuck with J.R., but it'll be interesting to see. Now, I just had talked about tuning into games to see, marquee matchups and then to find out that the star wasn't playing. I tuned into the Jazz and Pelicans game. I think it was Saturday. I don't know. I tuned into the game and Anthony Davis is already out, man, with a strained elbow or something like that. And if you go back to one of these few episodes, I warned you. I used the 300 analogy. I was like, AD's amazing, man, but you just know that he doesn't, it's not sustainable. I think what Steve Kerr's, one of his favorite lines is, one of the best skills is availability. Don't take that verbatim, but more or less, he talked about being available and how much of a skill that is to be able to play every night. And AD is just missing that skill. Now, the Warriors CNO Halloween night, this Wednesday night, and I hope he's playing because I want to see this team at full capacity. We've seen them in the playoffs, 2 years in a row. I know they feel some type of way about the Warriors, as they should, and they're going to be ready if AD's there. If he's not, I don't know. But as far as the Jazz-Pelicans matchup goes, the takeaway I had is that Nikola Mirotic is kind of Rudy Gobert kryptonite. You look at the matchups and you saw him on the three-point line and Gobert, it was like Nico's just quick enough to go around Gobert if Gobert comes out on him. And he has the length to finish. So he was kind of freezing Rudy at the three-point line, getting his shot off, and he was mixing it up and keeping him off balance. I don't like that matchup for the Jazz. You consider Drew Holiday, one of the more physical, stronger guards, is a guy they can stick on Donovan Mitchell. And I don't think at full strength, both of them at full strength, I think come playoff time, that's a matchup the Jazz will want to avoid, man, because the Pelicans, they match up really well. Now, the other team, shout out to my guy that was asking me about the Bucks, undefeated Milwaukee Bucks. And I just haven't really caught many of their games. They're early, and then they haven't really played any marquee matchups. I know they beat the Sixers and they beat the Pacers, but that's going to change tonight. The matchup of undefeateds, the Bucks and Raptors, Monday night. So I'm going to check that one out, and then I'll be back on my next episode with the breakdown of that, Warriors, Bulls, and whatever news comes down the pipe, I'm going to get. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.
I've been winning so long, it's like alchemy.